At a private wildlife reserve in South Africa, rangers discovered something that seemed genetically impossible. A black leopard, her coat so dark it appeared almost liquid in the sunlight, was nursing 4 cubs in her den. But 3 had the distinctive rosette patterns of leopards hidden beneath melanistic fur. The 4th was snow white with pale blue eyes and a tiny golden mane beginning to sprout. A white lion cub, abandoned by its mother hours after birth, was being raised by a leopard as if species didn't matter. For the next 6 months, this leopard would do something extraordinary. She would teach a lion to hunt like a leopard, to climb like a leopard, to think like a leopard. When researchers finally separated them, what they discovered about that white lion would challenge everything we understand about nature versus nurture. This isn't fantasy. This happened, and the science behind it reveals something profound about how animals learn to be themselves. The scene looked like a glitch in nature. The black leopard, a female named Midnight by the reserve staff, moved with liquid grace through the tall grass. Behind her trailed 4 cubs, but one stood out dramatically. While the leopard cubs had dark coats with barely visible spots, the lion cub gleamed white in the African sun, its fur almost translucent. At 8 weeks old, the size difference was already noticeable. The lion cub's paws were disproportionately large, its head rounder, its body stockier. Yet it followed Midnight with the same devotion as its adopted siblings. Dr. James Thornton, a behavioral ecologist studying big cats at the reserve, had been monitoring Midnight since she gave birth. The white lion cub had been born to a lioness in a neighboring section of the reserve, part of a rare genetic lineage. White lions aren't albinos. They have a recessive gene that reduces pigmentation, creating their distinctive pale coats. The lioness had rejected the cub immediately, a not uncommon occurrence with unusual-looking offspring. Staff found the cub crying near the den entrance, growing weaker by the hour. In desperation, they placed the lion cub near Midnight's den, not expecting success. Leopards and lions are mortal enemies in the wild. Adult lions kill leopards to eliminate competition. Leopards steal lion kills and have been known to prey on unguarded lion cubs. These species should not coexist peacefully, let alone share maternal care. But Midnight had given birth just 3 days earlier. Her body was flooded with prolactin and oxytocin, hormones that don't just enable nursing, they fundamentally rewire the brain. These chemicals create an almost irresistible compulsion to respond to infant distress signals. When the lion cub cried outside her den, those cries hit every trigger evolution had designed. High-pitched vocalizations, helpless movements, the vulnerability of extreme youth. Midnight's brain didn't calculate future threat or species incompatibility. It registered infant in distress, maternal response required. Within an hour, she dragged the lion cub into her den and begun grooming it. By nightfall, it was nursing alongside her biological cubs. This hormonal hijacking explains cross-species adoption across the animal kingdom, but the mechanics are more complex than simple maternal instinct. The hormones don't just make mothers want to care for babies, they actively suppress the neural pathways responsible for threat assessment and species recognition. In those first weeks postpartum, a mother's brain is essentially programmed to respond first and evaluate later, because in nature, the cost of ignoring a baby's cries is far greater than the cost of occasionally caring for the wrong infant. We see this mechanism play out in remarkable ways. In Kenya, a greyhound at a wildlife center adopted an orphaned dik-dik, a tiny antelope. The dog had lost her puppies days earlier, her milk production was still active, and when that dik-dik began crying, her neurochemistry couldn't distinguish it from a puppy. She nursed it, cleaned it, and protected it for 3 months until it could be released. In Montana, a barn cat adopted 4 abandoned baby squirrels, nursing them alongside her kittens. The cat had never encountered squirrels before, but their vocalizations and movements were similar enough to kitten behavior that her maternal drive activated. Even more remarkably, a captive wolf in Germany fostered a litter of dachshund puppies when their mother died. Wolves, the ancestors of all domestic dogs, responded to puppy distress calls as if they were wolf pups. The most striking case involved a chimpanzee at a sanctuary in Louisiana who adopted a baby mongoose. Chimps occasionally hunt small mammals, but this female had recently miscarried. When a mongoose wandered into her enclosure, orphaned and crying, she picked it up, cradled it, and refused to let staff separate them. For 2 weeks, she carried it everywhere, shared her food, and groomed it obsessively until the mongoose was strong enough to be relocated. But here's what people fundamentally misunderstand about these stories. We romanticize them as examples of love transcending species, of animals choosing compassion. The truth is simultaneously less sentimental and more fascinating. These mothers aren't making conscious moral decisions. They're experiencing neurochemical states so powerful that conscious choice becomes irrelevant. Midnight didn't decide to be kind to a lion cub. Her brain chemistry made her physically incapable of ignoring it. This doesn't diminish the behavior, it explains why it's possible at all. Evolution created a maternal response so robust, so fail-safe, that it's better to occasionally waste resources on the wrong species than to risk a mother ignoring her own offspring. False positives are evolutionarily cheap. False negatives are fatal. As months passed, something unexpected emerged. The white lion cub wasn't just surviving, it was becoming a leopard. Dr. Thornton documented behavior that should have been impossible. Lions are social animals that hunt cooperatively in open savanna. Leopards are solitary ambush hunters that rely on stealth and climbing. Yet this lion cub was learning leopard strategies. At 12 weeks, Midnight began teaching hunting. She'd catch small prey, birds, rodents, and release them near the cubs so they could practice. The leopard cubs instinctively used stalking and pouncing techniques. The lion cub watched and imitated. By 16 weeks, it was successfully catching prey using leopard methods: low crawling, explosive bursts, quick kills. This shouldn't work. Lions lack the patience for ambush hunting, but this cub had no lion to teach it otherwise. Most remarkably, Midnight taught the lion to climb. Leopards are exceptional climbers, hauling kills into trees to protect them from scavengers. At 20 weeks, she began taking the cubs up acacia trees. The leopard cubs scrambled up easily. The lion cub, heavier and less naturally suited to climbing, struggled but persisted. Within 2 weeks, it could climb 10 feet, far higher than any wild lion would attempt. Dr. Thornton realized he was witnessing something rare, a lion being culturally programmed as a leopard. Genetics provided the body, but behavior was being shaped entirely by environment. The cub wasn't thinking, "I'm a lion pretending to be a leopard." It was simply learning, "This is how we hunt, this is how we survive." At 6 months, the size difference became critical. The lion cub weighed 60 pounds, the leopard cubs 40. Its strength during play was becoming dangerous. The reserve made the difficult decision to separate them, moving the lion to a larger enclosure with other hand-raised lions. The transition revealed something startling. The white lion initially tried to use leopard behaviors with other lions. It attempted to climb trees during play. It stalked when lions typically chase. The leopard cubs, confused, gradually taught the lion proper lion behavior through interaction. Within 3 months, the white lion was hunting cooperatively, vocalizing like a lion, behaving entirely according to its species. Dr. Thornton published his findings, documenting how 6 months of cross-species rearing had temporarily overwritten genetic programming, but hadn't permanently altered it. The lion's brain was flexible enough to learn leopard ways, then flexible enough to relearn lion ways. Nature provided the hardware, nurture wrote the software. Twice. 2 years later, both thrived. Midnight raised 2 more litters of leopard cubs, all successfully. The white lion, now a magnificent 400-pound male, lived with a pride of other white lions, fully integrated, showing no lingering leopard behaviors. Genetic testing confirmed his offspring carried the white gene, continuing the rare lineage. The justice is simple. A lion that should have died instead lived because a leopard's hormones made her care. The leopard's biological cubs grew normally, unharmed by sharing resources. And the lion, after learning to be something it wasn't, successfully became what it was always meant to be. No lasting confusion, no identity crisis, just extraordinary adaptability meeting extraordinary circumstances. Nature doesn't deal in fairy tales, but sometimes the real outcomes are better than fiction. A leopard saved a lion's life, then let it go. Both species continued as they should, shaped but not defined by their brief, impossible family. If stories where biology does the impossible fascinate you, hit that
like button and subscribe. The natural world needs no embellishment to astound.